Welcome to my Vision News. Another video for you, some news stories. First one is from the US. PM Abiy has arrived at White House. He was welcomed with a guard of honor at White House. Ethiopian state media activists are sharing it as if it is a matter of pride for PM Abiy that he is being warmly welcomed in the US. Other African leaders are there too. Is it a matter of honor and pride for African leaders that they are being welcomed in the US? Secondly, Tigray region of Ethiopia, Mekelle, where banking service is going to resume reportedly. And thirdly, viewers, we have a new story from a town, small town in the Amhara region of Ethiopia, where in a confrontation between security forces and some Fano fighters, some security officials were taken hostage by locals and by Fano fighters. Details for you. Firstly, viewers, the US Africa summit was held in the US. African leadership was there. We know that almost entire African leadership was there. Only Isaias wasn't there. Isaias, a work of Eritrea. People say, Sajid, it should be a matter of pride for Eritrea that it was not invited to US Africa summit. And those who went to US are those leaders who are ready to work for US interests. Isaias is not, he does not believe in following orders. Well, Isaias supported Russia. In Russia-Ukraine war, we saw that at all General Assembly sessions, Human Rights Council sessions, Eritrea voted in support of Russia. Why? Was that stand on principle? No, obviously Eritrea supported Russia because the US was on the other side. So countries are in one or the other camp. They are at one or the other camp. Either they join US camp or Russia-China camp. Since Eritrea has been under sanctions from US for years, from EU as well, so it is part of Russian, Chinese camp. Secondly, I agree that it shouldn't be a matter of pride and honor for African leaders that they are being invited to US. I think this summit should have been held in Africa. The summit is about relations between one country, US, and 54 countries of Africa. So the one country invited 49 countries to the US, and these 49 leaders went to the US. They should have told the US government to organize this summit in Africa. It should have happened. And many of these leaders, they have been claiming that they oppose colonial powers. They are against expansionist and colonial mindset of Western and US, Western countries and US. But you saw that they went there. Eritrea did not go there because Eritrea is at Russia-China camp. Now, PM Abiy was at White House a few hours ago. He was invited there. Joe Biden hosted African leaders there. A dinner was organized in the honor of African leadership. And he was welcomed there with a guard of honor at White House. Ethiopian state media, Ethiopian activists are sharing this news as if it's a matter of pride, honor for Ethiopian PM, Ethiopian government. But as I said, that this summit should have been held in Africa. African leadership should have opposed the organizing of this summit in US. 49 leaders with their delegations, hundreds of them, in total 1,000 perhaps, went to US. That just shows that Africa, no matter what its leaders say, African leadership wants to have close ties with US because US still is a global power. Though Russia, China is trying to challenge this power, but still Africa is in the grip of US. Though we know that trade volume between US and Africa is declining. China is Africa's largest trading partner. China never colonized Africa. Russia never colonized Africa. European countries colonized Africa. US has tremendous presence, military presence in Africa. Several military bases of US are in Africa. We know that in Djibouti, there are at least in 10 locations of Africa, there is US military presence. There is US Africa Command working in Africa. But still, African leadership wants to be at US camp. Majority of African leaders. Secondly, viewers, second news story is from Tigray. Mekelle, Tigray's capital, where banking service is going to resume. Reportedly, preparations are underway. Electricity restored in parts of Mekelle, in Sharetu, in Amhara, while networks operating as well in some parts of Tigray. Now, preparations are being made reportedly for resumption of banking service in Mekelle. We know that Tigrayans did not have access to their deposited money. When people of Tigray were suffering, back then they had cash deposited at banks. They did not have access to the banks to withdraw their own cash because banking service had been suspended. People died and they could not withdraw their own money. So now banking service is going to be resumed. Preparations underway. Good news for the people of Tigray who have right to withdraw their own money. And lastly, viewers, Amhara region of Ethiopia, where in one small town there was confrontation between security officials and locals supported by FAN. Name of this place is Termaber. Termaber is in North Shore zone of the Amhara region, situated to the west and to the west of Shivarobit. In the outskirts of Shivarobit, there was confrontation between security forces and Fano fighters. In Termaber, there was fighting between security forces and locals. Reportedly, security forces tried to disarm some Fano fighters in Termaber. Locals intervened in support of Fano. Locals and some Fano fighters, they took several security officials hostage. And some are still hostage. Reportedly, the hostages are members of Amhara regional force. Now, Amhara regional government and Ethiopian federal government both are working in collaboration to disarm Fano. This is not just federal government's policy. Amhara government's policy is the same. Why? Because Fano was questioning Amhara government's policies too. Amhara government is Government of Prosperity Party. Amhara PP, Oromia PP, they are the same, you can say. That is why we saw that Amhara regional government joined hands with federal forces to contain Fano. Fano largely contained in some areas, like in North Shore. We are seeing resistance. There are several security officials still hostage. Efforts underway for the release of these soldiers. Fano fighters could not be disarmed. Locals intervened. We saw the same in Gajem a few months ago when Fano fighters were arrested. Federal forces tried to disarm them. Locals intervened. There were clashes, and that led to some casualties there. In Zamine Kasi's town, there was confrontation, direct confrontation between government forces and locals and some foreign fighters. Same is happening reportedly in Tarmabar, where efforts are underway for the release of these Amhara regional force members. Thank you for watching.